Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell. Sir, it's great to see you here tonight. And so you are getting ready to announce a major pushback on the IRS, which has been doing what while we've not exactly been paying attention to it in recent weeks?
Yeah, well, while they're not seriously investigating the IRS scandal that I first spoke out about back during the 2012 campaign, Megyn, they're now initiating a new rule through the Treasury Department and the IRS to quiet the voices of outside groups. It's called a C4, and what they're going to do is redefine what outside groups can do in a way to silence the voices of conservative critics. A new regulation by the administration. You know how the president's been using regulations to get around Congress. They tried to do this through legislation back when they controlled both the House and the Senate, and it didn't pass. So now you're looking at an administration trying to silence the voices of their critics going into this important fall election by using a Treasury Department regulation.
Because I know, so they're basically going to try to change the rules about what these groups can do and how they qualify for this, sort of tax-exempt status in the first place. But they say it's not just conservatives who will be, punished, affected, whatever your word is. Liberal groups will also be affected. So why do you think it's about silencing conservatives?
Well, I don't think the voices of either the liberals or conservatives ought to be silenced by the government. I don't think it's the government's business to tell these groups they can't speak. So it's not convincing to me that it would fall on both sides. We do know, however, that this particular tax-exempt category is the same category that they were targeting conservative groups back during the 2012 campaign. So now I think what they've decided to do is to take these people off the playing field, and if it hits a few liberals, fine. But I think what they're really worried about are their conservative critics.
Let me just set the stage for the viewers, because it came out that the IRS was targeting conservatives. And both parties said, that's awful, that's terrible, we need to investigate. Yeah. Then shortly thereafter, the focus seemed to turn for some to, you know what, these groups shouldn't have been granted 5013 status in the first place. They shouldn't even be applying for tax-exempt status because they're too political. That's what the Democrats started to say. And what you're basically telling me is that now the IRS, all these months later, has said, you're right, let's change the rules so that they won't have to deal with us at all because we're just going to stamp rejected as soon as they submit their applications this time.
Yeah, well, let me tell you what the key to it. Nixon tried to use the IRS to go after his enemies back during Watergate, and the commissioner of IRS said no. So we've got a new commissioner over at the IRS. I think we want to see if he has the integrity to stand up to this White House like the IRS commissioner did when Richard Nixon was trying to use the IRS to achieve a political objective. Will this new, fresh IRS commissioner coming in to clean up this troubled agency be used by this White House to silence critics?
Yeah.
Will he throw the IRS right in the middle of this big political debate? I want to see a statesman over there at IRS. He got recently confirmed by the Senate. I had a conversation with him about this subject. We're counting on him not to be used by this White House to carry out their political agenda of quieting their critics.
Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, great to see you. Thank you, sir.